So here's a little bit of a tag tool tutorial for people. Um, I'm using the Pro version. You've seen a little bit of some of the non-Pro version, or the, what do you call it, the basic version. I want to show you a little bit of the things that I've been doing with the Pro version. I really enjoy it. My name's Todd, and I do a lot of like character stuff, like try to get as close to some of the old school animation as I can while I'm doing tag tool stuff. So I'm going to show you one of the things you can do. I have the help function on it. I think it's called help. When you go to the menu button, it's called learn mode, or no, button labels. Yeah, that's what it is, button labels. So I have the button labels on so you can tell pretty clearly that says panels, and that says animate, and that says zoom, that says select, this says aim, this says erase. You don't have to have those in there, but I always like them just to remind myself what's going on. So what I'm going to first do is hit the panel button, which then goes around and shows that, oh, you've got these things that aren't listed on your screen. So I'm going to click the top one, and it actually unveils all of the pieces. And on the side here, you've got all of the different decks that you've, or little, I think they're called decks. Yeah? Yeah, they're called decks. And essentially it's just any previous projects that you put in there. And I've done quite a bit, as you can see. And it's been awesome because then I can go back and revisit things that I've been working on and different things. But one of the things I like to do the best, it's offsetting my color blindness, and it's also doing something that helps me know that I'm using correct colors. See how I dragged something straight from the decks onto the main screen, but you can't see it until I pull the opacity up. And I've kind of I've got the cropping up, so it's like to the side there. But notice I have like different skin tones there. But what's awesome is that I pulled that off of the internet and put it on my camera roll, and up here on the top you might be able to see it says import pic. So I imported that pic, and now it's like a reference anytime I want to do, anytime I want to draw people and not just sketch it. So now that it's in my session, I can go to paint, and I can use the brush-o-meter, which is a super cool thing that is like an eyedropper tool, so that I can go in and pick which the skin tones that I want to draw with. See how every time I hit those different skin tones, it changes to that color. So I'm going to do a dark brown, I'm going to do a black, I'm going to do like a tanned, and those are maybe the different tones I'll use this time. So if I hold the zoom button down, I can pinch and spread my fingers to change the workspace perspective. And also there's cool areas around here, but as you can see, it doesn't show up on the screen. That's a handy thing the tab tool has, where you can be building characters outside of the screen and then bring them in later. So anyway, so now I'm going to click on animate and take that skin tone thing out by either clicking it, but you can also select it from over here, and then once you select the layer, you can just press the delete button, which is like a little trash can up here. So that's what I did. So now I've just got these three dots, and they're all on that same layer. You can tell because it says over here in the layer view that that's where they are. Now I'm not going to even actually have them on the screen. I don't need to have them on the screen because it's not, not pertinent. It's just my palette. But I'm going to use it. But before I do, I want to go up here where it says background. I want to change the background, and this makes it so you can, make the colors be a little brighter or whatever, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the colors really bright. And then start working. Go back to the paint. Ooh, it's super bright. Owie. I'm going to adjust that. So I touch my panels button again, hold it down, open them all up, change my background a little darker so it's not so blinding. All right, so I selected outside of the background box to get back to the screen. And I click on paint to go back to here. So do you notice, so if I go hit that same area, animate, paint. So it's just going back and forth. If you don't know that about tag tool, it might be useful to know that. Anyway, so I'm going to start drawing my first character, and I'm going to use my brusher meter, select the skin tone I want to use. I'm going to start with that. So, and if I pinch or spread my fingers, that changes the brush size, so I can be doing something small and big along the same lines. This new cool tag tool thing allows you to completely start over by just pressing the rewind, holding down the rewind to the point where you're like, oh, I really didn't want that squiggly line, but I want to go all the way back. See? Now I'm going to start that one more time. And there we go. Nice. So I've got this nice circle, and that's solid. So that's what I kind of always start with. And then I want to make tiny ears. I usually just do the ears with the head. Don't ask me why. And the other thing I like to do is then I go and if I click on my sidebar here where the colors are, I can triple click and change to a new layer. It's super important to fool around with layers because you can do these simultaneous animations on the different layers, and sometimes you don't think of drawing that way necessarily. I mean, maybe you do if you're an illustrator, but for animation purposes, you have to think in terms of, you kind of have to make a plan on what are the moving pieces you want to have happen. So for me, I've done a lot of study about this. Like, what are the things in a face that make it more lifelike? And let me show you one of the tricks that I do. First of all, I start with pretty, whoopsie daisy, pretty basic eyes situation. Just a circle. No big whoop. But then, in order to do some more interesting eye movements, I have to do a different layer. Oops. For the pupil. So the pupils aren't that big. And I'm going to press the zoom button so I can get some pretty accurate pupils there. Okay. So there you go. You can see it on the main screen too. Yeah, so there we have it. So you've got some good pupils there, pretty lively. And then I like to press the brush emitter and get my skin tone back. And then I go and I start making my eyelids. And the eyelids are just, where eyelids would be. But then I also put on the same layer, I put eyebrows. So I'm going to go down here, move my color tool, and then I'm going to make a little bit of an interesting eyebrow here. Eyebrows both sides, which is sort of normal. And then I'm going to do a thing, well, I could do it a couple of different ways. I've done this recently where I will take the skin tone and then just add a little darkness to it, so it looks like more like a shadow than it does like a complete wrinkle. So I put the eyelid, the eyebrow, and the forehead wrinkle all on the same layer. And you can see that by when I touch the animate button. See that? And it's already selected, so that if I moved it, oh, look at what I did. Not only did I put the eyebrows on the same layer, well, I put in the eyebrows the same layer as the wrinkles and everything in the eyelids, but I put them on the same layer as the eyeballs, or the pupils. So one way I can get around this, and it's fine because it's all experimentation, is since I'm already selected, is I can hit edit and edit the selected layer. So in this case, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to erase the pupil part of my drawing. And then just make those come in a little later. That's not a big deal. But you know, like I said, it's important to have them all on separate layers so that you can move them independently from one another. So there you go. Now, so I'm going to add a new layer. Now that I've learned that, and go back down to the pupil. Yeah. Oh, now you might notice that the pupil is maybe coming over the eyelid. And watch this. If I go to the animate screen, I can click on the eyebrows, and it's over listed in the layer view here, and I can move them all the way to the front. And now I can make them be in front like that. And notice the expression, just the eyebrows do. Like I could be talking right now, and you can tell with my eyebrows. So I'm going to do a little animation by holding down the red button in the animation screen. And I like to do some pretty, exaggerated motion like that, so you can really tell, like, there's some real expression happening. Also, I like moving the eyes around because the eyes, are the windows of the soul, but also, they betray kind of what's going on with the emotion. So if I'm kind of flitting around a little bit, you can tell. One thing you might not have noticed is that when I did the recording, this little recording line started happening here. Now watch what happens if I just move my finger along back and forth. It quickly goes through the animation, like it's kind of scratching it, so my eyes go faster, right? One cool thing too is that if I hit it just once, it stops the animation, like pauses it. So I could be doing like a really cool live performance where I'm like, I want the eyes to stay in one place and then move it back. The other thing you can do is speed up the whole animation by dragging two fingers one way or another. You can speed it up through the animation. So this is speeding it up forwards, just the pupils, and this would be speeding it, slowing it down or going backwards by pushing my fingers that way. But I kind of liked it where it was. It was sort of a medium, slow kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to keep it at. The eyebrows, though, kind of would like the eyebrows to go a little faster. So now that I've selected the eyebrow layer, I'm going to make them go a little bit faster. Yeah. That's kind of like how my eyebrows go when I'm expressing something. Okay. So then the next thing is I'm going to go back to the paint screen, and I'm going to start painting the other features of the face. I'm going to go with my nose, and I like to do a lot of like changing the width of the brush while I'm drawing these faces. Just mess around with that. Okay, so those are that's kind of the nose and the smile lines, and then I do another layer. Usually for like ear stuff. Whoops. What did I do? Oh, I'm going to erase that by rewinding. Oh, that's right. I didn't have the right color. Hold up. Okay. One ear. You know what? And here's one way I can show you how another feature works on here. So I'm going to go to animate. I like that ear a lot. See how the ear is selected? I'll show you. Now, when it's selected, I can hit duplicate. And look, there's another ear thing there. There's two ear things, right? Ear drawings. So I'm going to pull one away, pull one aside, and then I'm going to triple click it, and see how when I triple clicked it, I made it another, it flipped it. So I'm going to move it over to the other ear. And look, now I've got two matching ear lines, I guess is what you call them. Okay, now let's go back to the main screen. Okay, it looks pretty expressive. So I'm gonna now do my mouth, and what I do is I start with what I feel like the biggest mouth shape that I would start with, and then I usually put in teeth, but yeah, I'll do some teeth. But I have to do it separately in a different channel because I like doing some teeth movement usually. So I'm going to do some pretty substantial teeth here. And then I like doing using the erase tool to make the teeth indentations or whatever, because it's much cooler. Now notice I've kind of overlapped it with the mouth. That's because it doesn't matter all that much to me right now, like where the teeth are going, because I'm going to use other things. Like I'm going to use lips, and the lips and the chin are big deals too. So here's another thing I'm going to add. I'm going to add the upper lip. Man, you wouldn't believe what the upper lip kind of does. I mean, if you've seen any of my animations, you see kind of what I like to do with that upper lip portion. Okay, then I'm going to do the jawline. I'm going to pull back a little bit. That brusher meter sure comes in handy at this time. Okay, so I'm gonna do the lower lip, and I'm gonna put like a line for the bottom, like that. Okay. So now, oh, look at how sloppy that is. That's all right, because look what happens when I'm.
Hey, look what I'm doing when I'm talking. It's got some real coolness to it, and say, well, so just don't be so critical of your own artwork, okay?
So then you could go in and edit it by, since it's selected, you can press edit and then do a little bit of erasing on these sides so it doesn't like drip over to the outside of the mouth. Go back and see if that worked. Look, it didn't really work all that well, did it? I'll try it again. Maybe it needs to be a bigger, yeah, it's a bigger brush. Ooh, look, and I already did some erasing of things I didn't want. So, all right. So that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, it looks really good. So look at that. Look at the effect. Now, look at the effect on the upper. Upper, yeah, sneering. Ooh, one thing I noticed. Got to have my nose lines over top of my lip lines so that it doesn't you get it messed up. You see that? Oh, and also I got to be careful where my teeth, where it goes to my teeth. Otherwise, the size of the mouth is going to be betrayed and betray the whole illusion. Now watch. I'm going to just do a tiny little up and down movement of the lip. Look what that does. Almost makes it look like the guy's breathing. Now, with the bottom lip, I'm just going to have them talk sort of randomly. Pull down the record button and
just talk as much as I feel like talking. Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. Now, here's where I get, ooh, I noticed that on the left there, it's a little bit showing some of the mouth. So I moved my lip over a little bit. Now I'm going to show you how I finish the drawing off by selecting it all, by holding the select button and then putting a square around all of the pieces. And then I press group. And now it's all one piece. Isn't that cool? And I can make him move his head like,
hey, well.
And then at the same time, watch what I'm doing down here. I can move the entire grouped animation along the line the way I was showing you before. And that gives you a lot of expression because all of the pieces together, all the animated pieces together are moving. So it's kind of a performance because I can go,
I don't know, what am I supposed to do? There's so many different things you can do with these animated programs. And yeah, I remember one time some guy told me I couldn't be animated, and I showed him. Yeah, well, happy holidays.
So that's how I do my faces. I enjoy it. And I love Tag Tool. So one of the last things I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here in the bottom where it says save. And since the whole thing's grouped and grouped together, I can save it. And right on the top saves the whole entire thing. Bless my skin tones. Whoops. Then I can click on it, delete it. Oh no, it's gone. Oh no, it's not. I just come over here, drag it in, slide up the opacity, and look at that. It's back. So there you go. That's my whole process.